Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare Krishna. I'm Rajarsi Dasa. Welcome to Hare Krishna today. We're continuing our study of the Bhagavad Gita, the series entitled An Overview of the Bhagavad Gita. So today we're going to conclude the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which is the contents of the entire Gita summarized. On our previous program, we dealt with Krishna refuting Arjuna's argument about enjoyment and so on. So he told him that give up this karma khan, this desire to enjoy. You combine work, you work, but work with knowledge that your eternal soul, there's an eternal destination. So we'll just conclude some verses where Krishna is reinforcing the point about working, but performing your prescribed duty, not with a spirit of just enjoying this world, but with knowledge that your eternal soul. And then Arjuna would ask the question, what are the symptoms of a transcendentally situated person, such a spiritualist? So then Krishna would go on until the end of the chapter to describe this person called this Stita Pragya, or person who is fixed in consciousness. But before we get to that point, let us look at some important verses. This is 247 is certainly a popular verse, but often misunderstood also. When you hear it, you'll recognize it. 247. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhur mate sangostu akarmani. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you're not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. So, why I'm saying this is often misunderstood. Sometimes you're trying to tell people to take up some spiritual practice, and they say, oh, I am doing my prescribed duty. I'm just doing my duty. Krishna says that in the Gita, Karmanyevadhikaraste. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty. So I'm doing my duty, I'm okay. I don't need to do anything more. Well, that's only half of the verse. Performing your duty, yes, but how? And for whose benefit? Krishna says later on in the next chapter, Yagyarta, that's 3:9, Yagyartat karmanon yatra, loko yam karma bandhana, tarartam karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara, that work done as sacrifice to Vishnu must be performed, otherwise karma bandhana, work binds one to this world. So in this situation here, he's telling Arjuna, Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, that you have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action, Arjuna. Don't stop thinking that I'll enjoy, I wouldn't enjoy, I'll win, I won't win. If I lose, we won't have anything. If I win, I'll kill out all these people, I won't be. What kind of consideration is that? Krishna is saying that you have a right to perform your prescribed duty. God is the one who has created the world and this system. So Krishna says, Chatur Varnyam Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. These 4 divisions, occupational divisions in society, Brahmanas, Brahmana duty, intellectual, educators, teachers, Kshatriyas, those who are protectors of the society, the Vaishyas, those who provide the necessities, and the Shudras, the laborers. Krishna says, this system has been created by me. And he says, but man, by performance of his own duty, by worshipping the Lord, he can attain perfection. So these four divisions are compared to the head, the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas are compared to the arms, the Vaishyas to the stomach, and the Shudras to the legs. Now all these parts of the physical body are arranged in a harmonious way. The head has to analyze, understand things in proper perspective, then the hands would execute. The stomach will consume and provide the nourishment for the rest of the body, and the legs will provide the labor, taking one about. So all these different parts of the body, they compare to the social system, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. So Krishna is saying you have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you're not entitled to the fruits of action. Stop thinking that you will create, you make result. That is under the Lord's control. He will give when we perform our prescribed duty. So he said you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the result of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. Powerful verse. Many points are there for Arjuna to get right. We have to act, but there are many factors that we have to consider. I don't create results. I am a tiny spirit soul. Results are rewarded through the agency of the material nature according to what I deserve. So this consciousness of thinking, I'll enjoy, I won't enjoy, this type of consciousness is not proper. Of course, later on, Krishna gives much more instructions on working. Maybe we can refer to some of them as we are dealing with these points. In the 9th chapter, verses 26, 27 thereabout, Krishna speaks about doing everything, yet karoshi, whatever you do, he says, mad arpan. You do it as an offering unto me. And when you do like that, Krishna says, Shubha Shubha Palairevam Mokshasi Karma Bandhane. If you do like that, then mokshasi, you'll become liberated, or you'll become free from the bondage to work. Generally, people do work and they become bound up because they think, I'm creating results, I'll enjoy. Or no result is coming, I'm distressed. So Krishna wants us to get our consciousness proper. He says if we do it in the right consciousness, then we become free. In the 18th chapter, Krishna says, Chetasa sarva karmani mai saniyasya mat paraha buddhi yogam upashritya machita satatam bhava. In all activities, you work under my protection. In such devotional service, you be fully conscious of me. Then he says, Machita sarva durgani. If you act in machita, in consciousness of me, in full consciousness of me, then sarva durgani, you will pass over all the obstacles of material life, mat prasada tarishasi, by my grace. What Krishna wants. But nashroshasi, if you don't hear what I am saying, and ahankar means aham kara. Karam or karta means the doer. I am the doer. I am working. I am making a result. I make myself rich. Krishna says, if you act in that false ego, you'll be lost. in that consciousness, you will be lost. So Krishna reinforces action in these verses. In 49 he says, O Dhananjaya, keep all abominable activities far distant by devotional service. And in that consciousness, surrender on to the Supreme Lord. Those who want to enjoy the fruits of their work are misers. So he's saying, keep all abominable action far distant by devotional service. Meaning, if you just work in this world, you're putting your foot in your mouth. Why? Every action causes a reaction, causes a sin that causes suffering. So Krishna is saying here that we have to learn to work with this consciousness, to work in devotional service, work in devotion in relation to God. Those who want to enjoy the fruits of their work are misers. So Krishna said, a man engaged in devotional service rids himself of both good and bad reaction, even in this life. Therefore strive for yoga, which is the art of all work. That yoga, that linking, whatever, this body, whatever facility, link it for the Lord and His benefit, His satisfaction. By thus engaging in devotional service to the Lord, great sages or devotees free themselves from the results of work in the material world. In this way, they become free from the cycle of birth and death and attain to the state beyond all miseries by going back to Godhead. So then Krishna, he just puts the last nail in the coffin about materialistic religious duty. He says, when your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusion, you shall become indifferent to all that has been heard and all that is to be heard. When your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, and when it remains fixed in the trance of self-realization, then you will have attained a divine consciousness. So the Vedas, this religiosity, this is even a disturbance for the mind. So Krishna is saying, when your mind is no longer disturbed by this attraction, you want this, you want that, you want... When you are no longer on that level, he says, then you would have attained the divine consciousness. You will remain fixed in self-realization. So this is what brings us to the last section of this second chapter, where Arjuna, he wants to know, well, that person you were speaking about, that spiritualist who is no longer affected by the Vedas and all this religiosity, do this to get that, do that to get that, he has become indifferent. He's indifferent to all of that. He's no longer disturbed and affected by that. His consciousness has gone out of that section of the Vedas. Arjuna want to know, well, what is the symptoms of such a person? So this is his question. Arjuna uvacha stita pragyasya ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava stitadhir kim prabhasheta kim asita vrajeta kim. Arjuna said, O Krishna, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak and what is his language? How does he sit and how does he walk? So basically what Krishna wants to know is the state, his thoughts, his words, his actions. This spiritualist, what is the nature of his consciousness and his endeavors and so on? So Krishna's response is beautiful. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parta manogatan atmani evatmana tushtas tita pragyastadochyati. Actually, there's a poetic translation. When a man gives up all kinds of desires, that burns in the heart like a terrible fire. And when his mind is thus purified, then only can he be satisfied. That's a poetic rendition. But this is the actual direct translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind thus purified finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. Now this verse is very, very deep. This is actually the beginning of Krishna's response, just the first symptom of the spiritualist. So he says, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction. Now, the soul is never without desires. Don't ever think that there'll be a time when you can become like a stone. No consciousness, no desires. No, it's a matter of whether we have material desires or spiritual desires. Having desires to satisfy our own body and senses and those related to our body and senses, or do we desire to satisfy the Supreme Lord? That's spiritual. So Krishna is saying, when a man gives up all varieties of desires, what's that? When a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction, when the eternal soul comes in contact with this world, when we take on a body, according to that body that we have, that's mental concoction. Mind, thinking, feeling, and willing. This mind is our enemy because this mind makes the eternal soul think, I am this body. So this is mental concoction. When the soul has a particular type of body, then the soul identifies with that body, and based on that body, we have desires. We think, I need this for my enjoyment. If you have a dog body, then you think this is enjoyment. You have a hog body, you think this is enjoyment. Just like little child. Little children desires for pleasure and adults desire for pleasure different. Because it arises from mental concoction. Thinking you're a little child body, you need to eat sweets and run about and play. Or the adult is thinking, I am this body and I need this now. But we are not these changing bodies. When the soul is in contact with Maya, material nature, it is in different bodies, it has different types of desires. It's in contact with the mode of ignorance, he wants to just sleep a lot, take intoxication. He's in a mode of passion, unlimited desires, hankering, name and fame, want to get ahead, want to be better than others. Or mode of goodness, he wants to just enjoy some peace of mind. But we have to come transcendental. So Krishna is saying, so when he gives up all these desires that arise from mental concoction, when his mind is purified, finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. So it's called Prasan Atma. The self is joyful, the self is happy. He's happy within because the soul is spiritual. But when we identify with the material, then we are tied up, we are caught up with all kinds of this one and that one, and I want this. So Krishna said that spiritual is sama sarveshu bhuteshu. He's equal to all. Yes. Na shochati. He doesn't lament, oh, I've lost this. Na kamshati, I want this, I didn't get this. So Krishna is saying here, when a person's mind becomes purified, then he is satisfied in the self. Otherwise, all these burning desires due to lust, Krishna says, dushparena nalina cha, it is never satisfied and it burns like fire. Then Krishna continues to describe this spiritualist. Dukheshu anudvignamanaha sukheshu vigatas priha vitaraga bhaya krodha stita dhir munir uchyate. One who is not disturbed in mind even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called a sage of steady mind. We have a test for you. What are the threefold miseries? You've been hearing lectures for so long. What are the threefold miseries Krishna speaks about here? Adi atmik klesha, suffering caused by our own physical body or the mind. Adi bhautik klesha, suffering or miseries caused by other living beings. And Adi daivik klesha, suffering or miseries caused by nature. So Krishna says, one who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst the threefold miseries. This world is built in with these three types of miseries. So Krishna is saying here, one who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness. In other words, the spiritualist doesn't get carried away. Some good karma come, opportunity for enjoying the senses, so he just goes off. Forget spiritual life, forget linking or devotion, duty to God. He just get carried away. The spiritualist is not carried away, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger. Now these are big ones. Attachment, material attachment, dangerous. Fear. Because of attachment, we're always fearful. We're too attached. Maybe we'll lose it. Somebody will take it away from me. So it produces fear. And if they do take it away, I become angry. I've lost it. Someone has taken it. Like the little child. Someone took away my cookie and all disturbed. So anger. In a material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. So in this world, there may be so many problems, faults, this problem, that problem, economy, this government bad, that one. Krishna says, don't get absorbed in glorifying this material energy, and don't get absorbed in criticizing this material energy. Just learn your lesson and get out. Prabhupada said this world is not a fit place for a gentleman. You think it is hell? Well, then do what it takes to get out. That is the proposal. One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects, as the tortoise draws its limbs within the shell, is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. So Krishna is giving an analogy here, like the tortoise. The tortoise is able to withdraw its limbs within the body. So the spiritualist is like that. He can withdraw the senses. He doesn't just allow the senses to just go wild, crazy. No. He can withdraw the senses from the objects. So Krishna is giving this example here. Of course, it won't be possible to finish these few verses because it's a little too many and we've exhausted our time. But we'll just take one more of them. Very important one. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasavarjam rasopiyasya param drishtva nivartate. Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects remains. But by ceasing such engagement, by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. So, this is very important. Param Drishtva means higher taste. If you are not getting a higher taste from religion or spirituality, from linking with God, you know what will happen, right? You will be riveted to the body and the senses and sense gratification. Yes, that will be the automatic result. You'll believe in religion, but maybe your words will go very high, but the thoughts will be very low. So, here Krishna is saying, the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, although the taste is still there for the material thing. Krishna said, by ceasing such engagement, by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. So for a person to be able to give up meat eating, intoxication, gambling, illicit sex, and be contented in spiritual life, param drishtva, he's getting a higher taste. He doesn't need to sing mundane songs because God is the reservoir of all pleasure. And by deriving pleasure from kirtan, bhajan and kirtan, he's contented, he's satisfied by spiritual activity. He doesn't need to eat animal food and garbage. He can just eat prasad, the Lord's mercy, remnants of food offered to God, and he can be satisfied. So, in this way we can actually remain spiritually situated. Even though we're in a material body, we can awaken the soul's natural spiritual pleasure. Desires may be there, but Krishna says, one who can tolerate these urges, is well situated. I'm Rajarsi Dasa saying Hare Krishna, and do join us again next week for a continuing presentation.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare.